What you're about to witness starts with a single moment of humiliation, but ends with a collapse no one saw coming. Tonight, a man is mocked in front of 200 elite guests. They pour wine on him. They call him unworthy. They think he's nobody. What they don't know is that he owns the deal they're celebrating. By the end of this video, you'll understand how one quiet decision destroyed a powerful empire overnight. No shouting. No threats. Just consequences. Stay until the very end. Because what happens next will leave you speechless and completely shocked. No one noticed Jamal Rivers when he walked into the high-end grand ballroom. And that was exactly how he wanted it. The room glowed with excess. Crystal chandeliers spilled light over long white tables dressed in silk linens. Glasses clinked. Laughter floated in polished tones. A live string quartet played soft music that no one truly listened to, serving more as decoration than sound. The air smelled of expensive perfume, grilled steak, and red wine, luxury layered over arrogance. Jamal moved quietly through it all. He wore a navy blue suit, clean and well-fitted, but simple. No flashy cufflinks. No designer logo screaming for attention. Just a neat fade haircut, polished shoes, and a modest watch on his wrist. The kind of man rich people overlook because he doesn't look like he needs to be seen. And tonight, being unseen was power. At the entrance, security had already stopped him once. The guard had scanned him from head to toe, eyes lingering a second too long, then asked, "Are you with catering, sir?" Jamal smiled calmly and handed over his invitation card. Black, thick stock, embossed with a silver seal. The guard's posture shifted instantly. Embarrassed. Apologetic. He stepped aside without another word. Inside, the judgment didn't stop. As Jamal walked past clusters of guests, conversations lowered. Eyes followed him briefly, then dismissed him just as fast. Two women in sequin dresses glanced his way and subtly shifted their handbags, as if protecting them. A man in a tuxedo cut in front of Jamal at the bar and laughed, saying, "Staff first, right?" Jamal said nothing. He simply stepped aside and ordered a glass of water. He wasn't here to impress anyone. He was here to observe. Above the crowd, massive screens rotated one glowing logo over and over again. Hail Quantum Systems. The whispers were everywhere. $800 million. A mystery investor. This deal changes everything. Executives bragged as if the money already belonged to them. Guests smiled like proximity alone made them powerful. Phones were raised constantly, recording proof that they had been in the room where history was supposedly being made. Jamal stood near a marble column, close enough to see the stage clearly, far enough to remain invisible. His hands rested loosely in his pockets. His eyes were calm, alert, taking everything in. He watched how people treated servers. He listened to how they spoke when they thought no one important was near. He noted who looked through him, and who looked down on him. That mattered. On stage, the host tapped the microphone, and applause erupted on cue. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hale Quantum Systems Gala." The CEO, Richard Hale, appeared beside his wife Vanessa, who glided forward in a gold dress that caught every flash of light. Smiles wide. Confidence loud. The room adored them. Everyone did. Everyone except the man who actually owned the future they were celebrating. Jamal Rivers. As applause filled the ballroom, Jamal's expression didn't change. His jaw remained steady. His gaze unwavering. Because long before the wine was poured, long before the cameras turned cruel, this night had already revealed exactly what he came to see. And the cost of that revelation was about to be far higher than anyone in that room imagined. The shift happened quietly at first. Whispers began trailing Jamal as he moved deeper into the ballroom. Subtle nods. Side glances. The kind people give when someone doesn't belong but hasn't broken any rules, yet. A woman leaned toward her friend and murmured, "I swear he's been standing there all night." "Who is he?" Her friend smirked. Probably staff trying to blend in. Jamal heard it. He always did. But he kept walking. A server passed with a tray of red wine, and one guest waved her over impatiently. Jamal stepped aside to make room. No rush. No tension. His calm only seemed to irritate the room more. Then Vanessa Hale noticed him. Her eyes locked onto Jamal from across the floor. Sharp. Calculating. A slow smile curved her lips, not friendly, but curious in a predatory way. She leaned toward her husband, Richard, and whispered something in his ear. Richard followed her gaze. His smile tightened. Moments later, Richard stepped off the stage and walked straight toward Jamal, confidence heavy in every step. Conversations nearby faded, people sensing drama the way sharks sense blood. Richard stopped inches from Jamal. "Sir," he said loudly enough for others to hear, "are you supposed to be standing here?" Jamal met his eyes, voice calm. "I'm fine where I am. Just observing." Richard chuckled, shaking his head as if amused. "Observing." He snapped his fingers at a passing server. "Get him a towel or something. Looks like he's sweating through that bargain suit." A few guests laughed. Others pretended not to listen while leaning closer. Vanessa joined them, heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. She picked up a glass of red wine from a tray without even glancing at the server. Her eyes ran over Jamal slowly, deliberately. "You know," she said sweetly, "if you needed work tonight, you could have just applied. Pretending to be a guest isn't the move." Jamal didn't respond. His silence unsettled her. She stepped closer and pressed the wine glass lightly against his chest. "Take this to table 3, she said. "They've been waiting." Jamal didn't move. Vanessa's smile disappeared. "Seriously," she snapped. "Do your job." Richard reached over and took the glass from her hand. He raised it slightly, turning to the surrounding guests. "Allow me," he said with a thin grin. One less confused worker ruining the vibe. Then he tilted the glass forward. Red wine spilled down Jamal's suit, splashing across his chest and collar. Drops slid slowly down the fabric, dark and unmistakable. The smell hit sharp and sour. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone whispered, "Did he really just do that?" Another guest lifted their phone, recording without hesitation. Vanessa laughed softly. Maybe now he knows where he stands. Jamal didn't shout. He didn't react. He lifted 2 fingers and wiped a drop of wine from his jaw. Slowly. Deliberately. He adjusted his sleeve, straightened his posture, and took one last look at Richard and Vanessa. Not with anger. With clarity. Then he turned and walked away. No words. No threat. No explanation. As he passed, a server whispered under her breath. That man just walked out like he owned the place. Most people didn't believe it. But something had shifted. And the fallout had already begun, before anyone in that room even realized Jamal Rivers had moved. The ballroom doors closed softly behind Jamal. The noise, the music, the laughter, all of it faded at once, replaced by a quiet hallway washed in cool light. The air felt different out here. Cleaner. Calmer. Almost respectful. Jamal walked forward at an unhurried pace. The wine stain spread dark across his suit, the fabric still damp. He didn't rush to wipe it away. He let it sit, a reminder, not of humiliation, but of confirmation. Tonight had answered every question he came to ask. He reached the end of the hall and stopped. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his phone. The screen lit his face with a soft glow. His expression didn't change. No anger. No frustration. Just focus. He tapped a single contact. The call connected immediately. "Ready for instructions, sir," a voice said on the other end. Professional, alert. Jamal spoke quietly. "Pull the offer. Lock every channel. Announce it now." There was no hesitation. Understood. The call ended. That was it. No raised voice. No threat. No dramatic warning. Just a decision. Jamal slipped the phone back into his pocket and continued walking toward the elevators. A couple stood nearby, whispering as he passed. "That's the guy they poured wine on," the woman murmured. The man nodded slowly. "Yeah. Rich people never expect the quiet ones to bite back." Jamal pressed the elevator button. The doors opened with a soft chime, and he stepped inside alone. As the doors closed, his reflection stared back at him. Steady eyes, relaxed shoulders, calm jaw. He loosened his tie slightly. The elevator hummed downward, carrying him away from the noise above. Halfway down, his phone vibrated once more. A message flashed across the screen. "Legal team confirmed. Action in motion." Everything was already moving. When the doors opened in the lobby, the atmosphere buzzed with confusion. Guests clustered in small groups, phones pressed to their ears, voices low but tense. Some recognized the wine stain on Jamal's suit. "That's him," someone whispered. Another voice followed, uncertain. "Something about him feels off. You don't walk like that unless you're somebody." Jamal passed them without slowing. Outside, the night air hit sharp and cool, clearing his head. A valet rushed toward him, keys ready, but Jamal lifted a hand gently. "I'll walk," he said. The valet froze, unsure, then stepped back. As Jamal crossed the driveway, light spilled from the ballroom windows behind him. Music swelled, then abruptly stopped. People inside turned toward the stage in confusion. "What happened?" someone asked. "Did the screens just go black?" Jamal's phone vibrated again. Announcement delivered. Partners notified. He locked the screen and slid the phone back into his pocket. Behind him, the hotel doors burst open. Voices rose. Chairs scraped. Panic bled into the air as reality began to crack inside the ballroom he had just left. Jamal didn't turn around. He stepped into the streetlight, shoulders relaxed, expression unreadable. The city moved around him, unaware that a corporate empire had just been triggered into collapse by a single quiet decision. The fallout had begun. And it was irreversible. Inside the ballroom, everything broke at once. The music cut off mid-note. The massive screens flickered, then went dark. The host froze with his smile half-raised, microphone still in hand. A murmur swept across the room, confusion spreading like a sudden chill. A tall man in a gray suit pushed urgently through the tables, phone pressed tight to his ear. His face shifted from irritation to disbelief, then to pure panic. He leaned toward the host and whispered something no one else could hear. The host swallowed hard. "Ladies and gentlemen," he stammered, "we're experiencing a temporary delay." Richard Hale noticed immediately. "What's going on?" he snapped, stepping forward. The host lowered his voice. "The signing has been suspended." The word hit the room like a dropped glass. Suspended. That's impossible. You don't pause an $800 million deal in the middle of a gala. Vanessa Hale kept her posture straight, but her fingers trembled as she tightened her grip on her clutch. She leaned in, forcing a smile. "Who ordered this?" she demanded. "We didn't approve any delay." The host's face drained of color. "It came from the top," he said quietly. "The directive was final." Richard scoffed. "I am the top." The man shook his head. "Not tonight." Across the ballroom, executives pulled out their phones. Alerts appeared one after another. Faces changed. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. "My accounts are frozen." "Investors are pulling out." Everything tied to Hale Quantum just went red. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Even the servers stopped moving, trays frozen in their hands. Near the entrance, someone tapped a friend urgently. "Look at this." A phone screen glowed in the dim light. A video played, clear and unmistakable. Richard pouring red wine onto Jamal's suit. Vanessa smirking beside him. The caption read, "They humiliated a man they thought was staff." Phones lifted across the room. The clip spread in seconds. Silence swallowed the ballroom. Vanessa grabbed Richard's arm. "Fix this. Now." Richard shook his head, breath shallow. "I don't even know what broke." A new alert flashed across the main screens as they came back online. Hail Quantum Systems. Contract terminated. Richard stared at the words like they were written in a foreign language. "Terminated," he whispered. "Without notice." A board member stormed toward him, face flushed with rage. "This is catastrophic," he hissed. "Do you have any idea who you offended?" Richard snapped back, "I offended no one." The board member leaned in, voice low and deadly. "You offended the man who funded this entire deal." Vanessa's breath caught. "Who?" The board member didn't raise his voice. "Jamal Rivers." The name rippled through the room like thunder. "He owns the partner company," the man continued. "All of it." Color drained from Richard's face. Vanessa's knees nearly buckled. A server whispered near the wall. "Told you he didn't walk like staff." Another whispered back. "They destroyed themselves." Guests began backing away, distancing themselves like fear was contagious. Some slipped out quietly. Others recorded everything, desperate to capture the moment power collapsed in real time. Vanessa pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. "We poured wine on the investor," she whispered. The truth settled heavy. The gala meant to celebrate success had become the stage for their public downfall. And Jamal Rivers was already gone. Morning came hard. Before the sun fully rose, the damage was already everywhere. Headlines flooded every screen, looping the same short clip again and again. Red wine spilling, shocked gasps, a man walking away without a word. Gala turns to disaster. CEO humiliates mystery guest. Deal collapses overnight. Comments showed no mercy. By noon, Hail Quantum Systems was in freefall. Investors pulled out without explanation. Board members resigned in silence. The company's valuation dropped so fast it felt unreal, like watching a building collapse in slow motion. Vanessa hadn't slept. She sat on the edge of the bed, phone buzzing non-stop, mascara smudged beneath hollow eyes. Richard paced the room, shirt wrinkled, hair undone. Every call he made ended the same way. "We're out. Don't contact us again." Finally, Vanessa broke the silence. "We have to see him." Richard stopped pacing. He didn't argue. He couldn't. They drove across the city to Jamal's neighborhood. Quiet streets, trimmed lawns, no gates, no guards. The opposite of the chaos they had left behind. When Jamal opened the door, he looked exactly the same as the night before. Calm. Controlled. Untouched by the storm. Vanessa spoke first, her voice cracking. "We were wrong," she said. "We judged you. We humiliated you. Please, let us fix this." Richard swallowed hard. "We lost everything," he added. "Just give us a chance to talk." Jamal stepped aside slightly, but he didn't invite them in. "You didn't lose everything yesterday," he said quietly. "You lost it the moment you decided people's worth came from your comfort." They stood frozen. "You built a world where disrespect had no cost," Jamal continued. "Now you're seeing the bill." Vanessa wiped her face, whispering, "We didn't know who you were." Jamal's eyes stayed steady. "That's the problem," he said. "You didn't care who I was." Richard's voice shook. "Is there anything we can do?" Jamal shook his head once. "The deal is gone. The trust is gone. And my door is closed." He paused, then delivered the final line without raising his voice. "Walk carefully. The world is smaller than you think." The door closed. They left with nothing. Jamal's life moved forward. Quietly. Purposefully. Theirs became a lesson repeated in headlines, comments, and whispers. Because power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it watches. Sometimes it waits. And when it moves, it never needs to explain. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. Your support helps us bring you new videos every week. And tell us in the comments, which country are you watching from? We love seeing how far this community reaches.